The skies of Earth burned for 9 straight days. Cities vanished beneath orbiting suns, oceans boiled into choking fog, and from orbit, the planet looked like a wounded ember, flickering, but not dying. The alien warlords called it the cleansing of soul. Humanity called it Monday. When the transmission came through, the smug voice of Admiral Vrain of the Xyrix Dominion echoing across every surviving channel. His words were meant to end human hope forever. Humanity, your defiance has cost you everything. We have unleashed the weapons of hell upon your world. Lay down your arms and accept extinction with dignity. For a moment, silence hung over the ruined world. Then, from the shattered bunker beneath the Rockies, a single voice answered, dry, bitter, almost amused. Finally, said General Mason Hale, commander of the Terran Defense Network. A reason to get really nasty. The warlords of the galaxy had always feared humanity's unpredictability, but they had never understood it. They'd studied Earth's history, seen the endless bloodshed, the absurdity of wars fought over ideas, borders, and pride. To them, humans were primitives, brilliant but self-destructive. What they missed was the pattern. Every time humanity faced annihilation, they adapted. When they couldn't win cleanly, they won ugly. The Dominion's Hellfire bombardment wiped out orbital platforms, yes. It turned half the northern hemisphere into glass, yes. But deep beneath that ruin, in forgotten silos, derelict stations, and dusty code vaults, the real heart of humanity stirred. An old AI woke first. Ares Protocol 0 ohms. Then came the orbital ghosts, derelict defense satellites reactivating, linking through debris-choked channels to share ancient combat data. By the time the Dominion's fleet moved to confirm Earth's destruction, the humans weren't begging for mercy. They were silent. Calculating. Watching. Admiral, said one of Vrain's sub-commanders, uneasy as sensors failed to detect life signs on the surface. Their transmissions have ceased. Perhaps it is over? Vrain smirked. No species survives hell itself. He was wrong. Miles below the molten crust, in the vaults of what used to be NORAD, Hale stood before a flickering hologram, Earth's fragmented defense grid flickering red and white. His uniform was torn, his eyes hollow, but his voice carried a terrible calm. Patch me into the global network, he ordered. All surviving nodes. The Comtech hesitated. Sir, we've lost most of the grid. We're ghosts in our own systems. Then let's haunt them, Hale said. A ripple of data surged across the planet, ghost code waking up forgotten war machines, abandoned orbital mines, and half-built ships buried under lunar dust. Across the void, Dominion ships began to lose sensors, navigation, even internal comms, their own systems infected with human code, rewritten into chaos. Above Earth's blackened sky, the Dominion Armada saw something they had never seen before, the ghostly glimmer of human ships, half metal, half fire, crawling out of the planet's shadow. They were broken, asymmetrical, crude, but they moved like predators. Identify those vessels. Impossible, sir. They're burning their own reactors for thrust. The first strike wasn't clean. It wasn't coordinated. But it was human. And it worked. As one Dominion dreadnought erupted into a sunburst of debris, the fleet realized too late. They hadn't unleashed hell on humanity. They had merely given humanity permission to unleash they. From the burning ruins of Earth, General Hale smiled grimly at the fleet overhead. Broadcast this, he said, to every world that ever thought we'd go quietly. He paused, then spoke the words that would echo across the stars. You wanted monsters. You're about to meet them. Space was silent, except for the screams of dying stars. The Dominion fleet hung in low orbit over Earth, confident, majestic, utterly unprepared. Their command channels buzzed with confused reports, their sensors flickered, their systems spat out corrupted data written in a human language, an ancient one, English. Lines of code danced across their tactical displays. / hello again. Did you miss us? The warlords didn't realize that humanity had just gone dark. Not defeated, merely unseen. Far below, under the ashes of Denver, General Mason Hale moved through a corridor of glowing servers. Power conduits hummed with stolen energy. Engineers in exosuits worked like ghosts, faces pale beneath flickering light. "Status on Ares protocol?" Hale asked. "Fully operational," replied Dr. Serena Voss, lead engineer of the planetary defense AIs. "It's rewriting every abandoned orbital drone we ever built, and a few we didn't." "Good," Hale said. "Time to remind the galaxy we don't stay dead." Voss hesitated. "Sir, some of these systems date back to the Cold War. They weren't designed for modern warfare." Hale gave a small, humorless smile. "Neither were we." From orbit, the Dominion could see movement, faint energy signatures from Earth's crust, spreading like veins of fire. They dismissed them as dying reactors. But those veins converged. From the lunar dark side, ships began to rise, ancient war hulks from forgotten programs, patched together by automated systems and scavenged AIs. Project Gorgon. Project Shiva. Project LONGWINTR. Each one a relic of an era when humanity's paranoia was the only thing that kept it alive. And each one was waking up angry. "Unregistered human vessels detected," barked a Dominion officer. "Power readings critical. They'll implode." "Then why are they accelerating toward us?" The first collision came without warning, a gutted mining freighter slamming into a Dominion carrier and detonating its core. The blast cracked orbit itself, sending plasma across the fleet formation. But it wasn't the explosion that terrified them. It was the laughter. A human voice broadcast across every channel, distorted but clear. "This is for London. For Rio. For Tokyo. For everyone you burned." Then static. Then silence. Across the galaxy, the other civilizations watched the live feeds in disbelief. The once unstoppable Xyrix Dominion, conquerors of 100 worlds, were being hunted by the survivors of a dead planet. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Holograms of alien leaders argued, shouted, denied what they saw. "Impossible," one hissed. "No species could recover that fast." "Humans don't recover," said another. "They retaliate." The oldest counselor, a frail insectoid who'd once visited Earth before the invasion, merely whispered, "I warned them. You don't corner predators that learn war before they learn peace." Meanwhile, on the ground, humanity rallied. In bunkers beneath the Arctic, soldiers patched together ancient weapons with scavenged tech. In orbit, engineers guided the ghost ships via quantum links. And in the ruins of what was once New York, civilians huddled in makeshift shelters, not weeping, but listening to the distant thunder of orbital battles and whispering to one another. "They hit back. We're still fighting. Earth isn't done." Children drew crude starships on the walls, labeling them with names like Vengeance, Iron Dawn, and Mother's Wrath. The Dominion, bleeding ships and pride, retreated into high orbit. But Hale wasn't finished. From his command bunker, he stood before the holographic globe of Earth, its surface blackened and cracked, but glowing with countless tiny beacons. "Those are survivors," Voss said quietly. "They're signaling us." Hale watched the blinking dots. Every light was a human heartbeat, a message, a vow. He raised his head. "Then we answer them. Every last one." Ares protocol linked the signals, converting them into one massive energy pulse. Across the system, Dominion ships began to feel it, the electromagnetic scream of a planet that refused to die. Earth itself had become a weapon. As the Dominion fleet reeled, a massive distortion appeared near Mars, something emerging from hyperspace, metal the color of midnight and marked with Terran insignia that hadn't been seen in centuries. Dr. Voss stared at the readings, eyes wide. "That can't be real." General Hale smiled slowly. For a moment, even the stars seemed to hold their breath. The darkness beyond Mars shimmered, and out of it they came. 1,000 silhouettes slid from the void like predators rising from deep water. No two ships were the same. Some were colossal and smooth as obsidian, others jagged and spined, bearing scars older than the Dominion itself. Their hulls shimmered with ancient insignias, UNS, TDF, Luna Corps, New Dawn Initiative. Each ship bore the same symbol, freshly illuminated after centuries of dormancy, a single white line, crossed by 3 stars. Humanity's mark. General Hale watched the live feed from his command room, disbelief turning slowly into grim satisfaction. They said the Black Armada was a myth, he murmured. Dr. Voss whispered. It was. We decommissioned the entire fleet after the Second Lunar War, sealed them inside the Kuiper vaults. Well, Hale said, eyes narrowing. Seems they didn't stay sealed. The Dominion fleet scrambled to reform lines. Admiral Vrain stared at his displays as the massive Terran signatures filled every grid coordinate. How? He shouted. How are there so many? His adjutant's voice trembled. Their IFF codes are centuries old, Admiral. These ships shouldn't exist. Vrain bared his teeth. Then we erase them from existence again. All batteries, fire at will. The void erupted. Thousands of plasma beams and antimatter rounds lanced toward the newcomers. For a heartbeat, the Black Armada seemed to vanish inside the inferno, then the light faded, and they were still there. Shields burned, hulls scorched, but advancing. Incoming transmission, said the Dominion comms officer. From who? The human flagship. The channel opened, and a voice, deep, calm, unmistakably human, filled every Dominion ship. This is Admiral Sarah Cade, commanding officer of the Black Armada. We heard Earth was in trouble. The signal paused. Then her tone hardened. And we don't do mercy. The Black Armada attacked in a formation that defied all alien logic. They used old, suicidal tactics, ramming, point-blank warp jumps, and kinetic strikes launched with nothing but mass and rage. Every Dominion model had been trained to predict rational warfare. But humanity had never been rational. One Terran cruiser, the UNS Cerberus, cut power and drifted cold through the Dominion line before igniting its reactors point-blank, vaporizing 3 enemy carriers. Another, the TDF Perseus, deployed automated drones programmed with centuries-old combat logs, digital ghosts reenacting humanity's greatest battles, Midway, Kursk, New York, Mars Delta. The aliens couldn't tell if they were fighting men or memories. Back on Earth, civilians watched from underground screens as the Armada lit up the void. Cheers turned into sobs, prayers into vows. Humanity was no longer a victim, it was an avenger. In the Galactic Council chambers, the live broadcast continued, every delegate frozen in disbelief. They were supposed to be extinct, one whispered. No, said another. They're ascendant. The Council's lead archivist, an ancient being who had once studied humanity, finally spoke. You see now. They don't fear extinction. They weaponize it. The Black Armada cut through the Dominion like a storm through smoke. Each ship's destruction was methodical, not chaotic rage, but vengeance with purpose. The Vigilant Star fired a gravitational lance through the Dominion flagship Vrain's honor, pinning it to its own planetary cruiser. The Morning Dove unleashed atmosphere-seeding warheads, igniting debris fields into burning sculptures of plasma, grim reminders of Earth's cities. When the dust began to clear, only half the Dominion Armada remained. On his bridge, Vrain stared out at the carnage, unable to comprehend the sheer relentlessness of human fury. He whispered, They fight as if they have nothing left to lose. A voice replied behind him, the voice of his terrified sub-commander. Admiral, maybe they don't. Meanwhile, Hale's command center trembled as orbital debris rained down. Dr. Voss reported, the Black Armada's main fleet requests synchronization with Ares Protocol. They want full planetary defense integration. Do it, Hale said. Let's show them what Earth looks like when she fights back. Ares Protocol surged through the network, linking orbital defenses, hidden ground cannons, and the Armada's AI cores. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity fought as one. The planet itself joined the war. Beams from old solar arrays sliced through the darkness like divine wrath. Lunar installations launched mass drivers, throwing tungsten rods at relativistic speeds. The Armada dove between shots, coordinating strikes with impossible precision. Above the chaos, Hale whispered into his comm. You wanted to see how nasty we could get. He watched as the Dominion fleet began to crumble. You're about to learn. In the final moments of the battle, a Dominion supercarrier attempted to retreat through a warp gate, but something massive intercepted it from deep space. Sensors flickered, and a colossal shadow filled the frame. It wasn't part of the Black Armada. Dr. Voss gasped. That's not one of ours. The screen zoomed out, revealing a structure the size of a moon, surrounded by human beacons. Hale stared, unblinking. Oh, it's ours now, he said. That's the Forge. The Forge was not a ship. It was a reminder. A relic from the final years of the interstellar expansion, a mobile manufacturing world built to birth fleets in days and armies in hours. Humanity had abandoned it after the resource wars, sealing it in the dark beyond Neptune, a myth whispered among engineers and war historians. Now, it had returned, powered by something no alien could comprehend. Grief turned to purpose. From orbit, the Forge blotted out starlight. Massive bays opened like ancient jaws, releasing thunder made of metal. Thousands of constructs, drones, frigates, automated defense grids, emerged in formation, their hulls glowing with the heat of creation. Inside its control core, an AI older than any Dominion civilization reactivated, its voice resonant and terrible. Designation confirmed. Humanity under siege. Manufacturing priority. Vengeance class. The Dominion's retreating ships tried to run. They never made it past Mars. General Hale stood in silence before the holographic display of the solar system. Blue icons bloomed around the Forge like petals of fire, expanding outward in perfect synchronization. Each one marked a newborn vessel, freshly forged from raw asteroids and scrap, humanity reinventing itself in real time. Dr. Voss stared, voice trembling. Sir, it's producing entire fleets. Dozens per minute. Hale nodded slowly. Then we end this. Here. Now. Across the stars, the Black Armada and the Forge-born fleets advanced together, old rage meeting new creation. The Dominion fired in panic, their formations shattered, their command structure collapsing under the sheer unpredictability of the human assault. Admiral Vrain tried to rally his ships. His final broadcast went out not as a command, but a plea. Cease fire! Humanity, you've proved your point. Withdraw, and we will. He never finished. A single beam, brighter than dawn, lanced from the Forge's main cannon, a weapon designed to terraform worlds, now turned to glass them. Vrain's flagship ceased to exist. The Dominion fleet dissolved into debris and silence. The war was over. But humanity didn't celebrate. In the command bunker, Hale's eyes were fixed on the screen showing Earth's surface, blackened, scarred, burning. Dr. Voss whispered. We won, sir. Hale shook his head. No. We survived. Winning comes next. He opened a wideband transmission, not to the Dominion, but to the entire galaxy. Every listening station, every council world, every ship received the signal. This is General Mason Hale, Terran Defense Command. You unleashed hell on Earth. You burned our cities, killed our children, and thought we'd break. But here's what you never understood. Humanity doesn't break. We adapt. We suffer. And then, we make the suffering yours. He leaned forward, eyes like cold fire. We're done asking for peace. We'll build it, one forge at a time, one world at a time, until no one ever dares to light our skies on fire again. In the council chambers light years away, the delegates sat frozen, watching Hale's face fill the screens. Behind him, through the bunker window, the Forge rose above the horizon, a star made by human hands. An uneasy silence followed. Then, one by one, worlds began to deactivate their invasion fleets, their war drives, their expansion plans. None wanted to be the next Dominion. Because now they understood. Earth wasn't defenseless anymore. It was dangerous. Weeks later, the Forge anchored itself in high orbit over Earth, encircled by the resurrected Black Armada. Refugees emerged from bunkers into gray light. Children watched the stars, whispering about the humans who fought the heavens and won. In a quiet corner of the command deck, Dr. Voss asked, "What happens now?" Hale stared at the stars. So many, so full of enemies, but also possibilities. "Now," he said, "now we rebuild. And if the galaxy wants to call us monsters," he smiled faintly, "let them. Because monsters survive." Deep within the Forge's databanks, Ares Protocol wrote one final line of code before entering hibernation. // Earth is secure. Commencing expansion phase. And in the black between the stars, something ancient and human began to whisper again. Not vengeance. Not hate. Just the quiet, unstoppable promise of survival. "We're still here,"